This is the Washington Times front page for Monday, May 10th, 2021. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. The federal government has all hands on deck to help Colonial Pipeline recover from a major cyber attack that halted its operations in providing fuel up and down the East Coast. Ryan Lovelace and Andrew Blake report Colonial said Saturday that the cyber attack began Friday and involved ransomware. The Georgia-based company said it's working with a private cybersecurity company as well as law enforcement and federal government agencies on the breach. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo told CBS the cyber attack is a top priority for the Biden administration, and she'll work closely with Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas on implementing the government's response. Colonial operates one of the largest fuel pipelines in the United States and supplies about 45% of all fossil fuel that's consumed on the East Coast. Experts worry that fuel prices are more likely to increase the longer Colonial stoppage or slowdown becomes. Vaccinations are sparking a surge in travel bookings from Orlando to Las Vegas, and tourists are eyeing Italy's sunny shores again as Europe plots a comeback. The upshot, Tom Howe reports, is a season of uncertainty. Declining COVID-19 rates are injecting confidence into the hospitality industry, but slow bureaucracies and the wobbly economy threaten to turn this summer into a mess unless travelers are savvy and plan ahead. A third of Americans are fully vaccinated against COVID-19, and nearly half are partially vaccinated. As the numbers of new cases, hospitalizations, and deaths decline, AAA says bookings to Hawaii, the Caribbean, Key West, mainland Florida, and Palm Springs are booming. Rowan Scarborough looks at the FBI's determination in the June 2017 shooting of Republican members of Congress practicing for the congressional baseball game on a field in Alexandria, Virginia. Ohio Congressman Brad Wenstrup chose to publicize the Bureau's verdict of suicide by cop during a hearing before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence on April 15th. After questioning FBI Director Christopher Wray during the hearing, Wenstrup sent the director a letter formally asking for an investigation of the original probe, plus an internal review of how their determination was adopted. A reminder that you can find all these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. Don't have access to the Times yet? Visit WashingtonTimes.com/George and get 25% off your annual subscription. Stephen Dinan reports on the case of a Homeland Security officer who's accused of lying about his own immigration history and his wife, who also works for the agency. Investigators said the woman, identified in court documents by the initials OI, knew about her husband Carl Efemabi's fraud and helped conceal it from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, where they both worked. Senate Judiciary Committee ranking member Chuck Grassley demanded answers about the case last week, including whether any other agency employees were aware Efemabi was working under a fraudulent identity. Valerie Richardson looks at male-to-female transgender athletes who are set to compete in the Tokyo Olympics this summer. The International Olympic Committee Executive Board is scheduled to meet this week to consider issues of gender equality and inclusion and safe sport before the Olympics, which start July 23rd. The board will take into account the perceived tension between fairness and safety and inclusion and non-discrimination. And finally, in the latest installment of the Big Talk series, James Varney talks with Desiree Andrade. She's fighting the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office after special charges were dropped in the killing of her son Julian, which reduced the maximum sentence of those who were convicted in his death. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and subscribe for free to the front page. Just search Washington Times on your favorite podcast platforms. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. With Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.